What's going on, casters? Dylan from Pandito Gaming here, back again with another video. Today, we're going to talk about the history of the Elestrals Seals product, how it hasn't really gone as well as investors would have liked, and why I think in the near future these have really good potential as an investment. As always, remember, these are just my thoughts, the things that I have researched and figured out about these products. This is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you the things that I'm doing and the ways that I'm thinking. You can take that and make your own opinions and use that to guide how you want to invest in or purchase and open these products. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're mostly going to be focusing on booster boxes, though we are going to talk a little bit about the Shattered Stars bundles as well. In total, there's been 8 sets that have had booster boxes in Elestral's history, and I group those into 5 different categories if you include Shattered Stars as one of those categories. So we're going to go through each one of those and talk about past performance and what I think they'll do in the next year or two. So let's start with everybody's favorite, the base set Kickstarter edition, what's also known as Founders Edition. This box, when it first came out about 3 years ago, was selling pretty consistently between $100 and $130. Now, as you can see on TCG Player, there's not a lot of listings for these. I would not say that this box is worth $200. As usual, when it comes to indie TCGs, don't just rely on a single source. Make sure you're looking at multiple different sources. If we go over here to eBay, you can see that the Kickstarter boxes have been selling pretty consistently somewhere between $150 and $180. Now, sometimes you'll see somebody has the bad idea to list something as an auction. While that does mean that it will sell fast, especially in the indie TCG space, if nobody's actively looking for this, you're going to get significantly less than what the box is worth, and you're most likely just going to sell to an investor or reseller who's just going to put it right back on the market at a higher marked up value. So in general, if you look at what is currently actively posted, you'll see there are quite a few boxes, somewhere around like 20 or 30 in total. They're posted between $165 and $190. Now, obviously, some people have some deals when you buy more, but I would say we're probably about 30 boxes away from 190, somewhere around like 50 boxes away from 200. Now, the Founders Edition isn't one that most people will post on their sites. There are a couple sites that have them out there for about 200, but I'd say pretty comfortably the market price of these boxes is around $160 right now. Now, what that means is that we've grown in price from somewhere around 100, 110 when it first came out to about $160. Especially if you bought from the Kickstarter itself, you've probably seen a good return if you were to sell it right now. It is very hard to sell these in bulk. You're probably going to take anywhere between 6 and 12 months just to sell a few cases of this. I definitely have seen somewhere around 15 to 20 sell every few months. So within a year, I'd say you could probably pretty comfortably sell about 50 boxes at this price. And they don't come on the market a lot, so there's not a ton of competition. But that said, there's a great question on how I think this will perform in the future. Now, A Drive has publicly come out in a couple different scenarios, but most publicly in the Frostfall video, explaining that there were about 10,000 copies of the Kickstarter booster box that were originally printed. You can kind of confirm that by looking at the Kickstarter itself. I think it's pretty well established. What the exact number is, we don't know, but it's somewhere around 10,000 boxes. Now, a lot of these boxes were opened in the first few months, the first year of its existence. How many boxes are left? There's no real way to tell. I would say there's probably somewhere between like 500 to 2,000 of these left circulating around. There are definitely some sitting in people's houses or closets that they just have been sitting on and haven't done anything with. But most of the big people who got 100 boxes during the Kickstarter have moved those boxes already. There's not many people with more than 5, 10, 20 of these. I personally went and bought about 50 to 60 boxes a couple months ago. I put a post out offering 125 for anybody who was willing to sell in bulk. I had a few people take up on that and a few people trade for different things in my store. So I wouldn't be surprised if I have one of the, if not the largest positions in Kickstarter boxes right now, just to show you that I strongly believe in this as a medium to longer term hold. I think next year when Awakened comes out, people are going to get really nostalgic for these boxes. New people who come in are going to see that set has some of the most Awakened starters in serialized form. I think people are going to be drawn to that and want to try to open the Kickstarter set specifically. I personally am hoping to see it push up to somewhere around 200, 250 in the next year to 2 years. If that happens, I'll feel really good with my investment. Not to say that that's going to match something like Magic or Pokemon when it comes to growth, but in this kind of a market, getting that in a game that I have a lot of passion for, I'll be happy with those kinds of returns. So overall, my recommendation when it comes to Kickstarter is if you can find some below what the current market price is, if you can snatch some up at 120, 130, get some in bulk, I think it's a great opportunity. I definitely think next year we should see a resurgence in demand for this box, and there's not a ton of them left out there. Now, the next category of boxes that we're going to talk about is the boxes that probably aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Those account for both Frostfall and Lifestream. I'm mostly going to focus on Frostfall here, but Lifestream is another one that I think fits into this bucket. These boxes are with sets that have significant problems with them. Frostfall has an entire YouTube video that A Drive created explaining it was printed 2.5 times probably what it should have been. The cards were pringling. There were issues in putting the right cards in, and the whole error watt issue, the batching in boxes. In general, the Frostfall experience is either really fun or very devastating. And because of that, not a lot of these boxes were bought. And there's a huge amount in the warehouse, more than every other set, probably combined currently. It sounded like in some of the videos that they're probably still sitting on around half the supply from the original set, which means as much Frostfall is left is how much was printed for each of the other sets. So Frostfall is not something you're really interested in investing in unless you can get a crazy good deal, especially with the SS BOGO going on, where from Elestrals themselves, you can get boxes cheaper than most wholesale outlets unless you can find a way to get these for $40 or $50. I don't think I'd be all that interested. You can see in here, there's quite a few sellers that are selling around the $80 mark. On eBay, it's the same. There's a lot of people selling for that. You could potentially buy into the BOGO at just under $70, but maybe you're paying taxes, maybe you're paying shipping. Either way, that does not feel very good. You probably don't want to do that, but there's a slight potential maybe you could sell them for 80 or 85 later. I just don't think it's worth it personally. I would stay as far away from this as possible. Livestream is very similar, but the printing problems were more egregious from a collector standpoint. There was chipping on cards, there was bent cards, there were cards that were serialized that came with nicks or scratches on them, and it just left a bad taste in people's mouths, and people really didn't want to open Livestream. Now, one of the key differentiators here is that Livestream was very largely distributed to LGSs and made available through distribution, and those were just pushed out. And there were lots of instances where you could buy Livestream boxes at $25, $30, $40 per box. And if you can get in at that price, I don't mind Livestream that much. It does not look very good from just a general how much is it worth perspective. Right now you can see listings pretty commonly for $50 or $60, but if you're looking at it as a relatively quick flip, I can find somebody willing to sell it for $25, $30, and I'll sit on it for a few months to sell it at 50 or 60. I think it could be reasonable to make a turnaround for that, but in general, I would avoid both Frostfall and Livestream because I think there's just not enough demand. People just have a bad taste in their mouths about these, and even if these were to sell out, which Livestream is also sitting on thousands of boxes at wholesale still. Even if they were to sell out, I don't know that there's enough demand to be willing to buy things once they hit the 70, 80, $90 point. I don't know that people are willing to spend that much to open these boxes, or to maybe as a display box, but those will sell one at a time in that case. So the next group of cards that I want to talk about is essentially the rest of first edition. Base set, Daybreak, Moonrise, I think are all relatively close to the same caliber of boxes. One thing to keep in mind is that this base set price on TCG Player is misleading again. There are plenty of first edition boxes sitting out there on eBay for $70 or less. I would say that if you're buying, 5, 10 of them, you'll be able to buy them all day at $70 for a while. I don't think it's the same case as Daybreak and Moonrise necessarily, but if Kickstarter starts selling and goes up in price, that could bring the first edition base with it. But my eyes are more on that Daybreak Moonrise combination. If you look, you can see that Daybreak does not really have any boxes under $80 on eBay or on TCG Player. TCG Player is almost completely out of stock, and the same case is there with Moonrise as well. It's very hard to find Moonrise and Daybreak sub $80. Now, something to keep in mind is that both Daybreak and Moonrise are still in stock at Elestrals wholesale, and some distributors still have them as well. So if you're somebody who has a wholesale account and is able to buy these in the $60 to $75 range, this could be a reasonable buy. And potentially sometime in the next few months, these could go up to $90, $95, and you could actually start turning a profit on selling Moonrise and Daybreak, where historically you've just been sitting on them for a long time. Do I think these are amazing sets that will have huge demand and next year these could double in price? Absolutely not, because like I said, there's still a lot in stock at wholesale, and Elestral's website, it has a hard cap to how much people are going to be willing to spend on these boxes. I do think it is a great short term. If you're an LGS, buy a couple cases of these. I bought a couple cases myself so that once they hit that $110 mark, people start buying them. I can start turning that over and over again and make a profit off of it. I feel the same way about the base set, that all three of these for the next maybe year or two are great buys to just turn and sell. I would look from an investment standpoint to hold off on these at least for a couple of years. Maybe at the end of next year, it will be a good time to buy them because new people will be coming in and want to open these a lot more, and maybe we'll have churned through more of the market by then. So the last set of the main lines that we're going to talk about, the fourth grouping that we're looking at, is just generally the Divine Champions block. Now, again, I exclude Lifestream from that because of how terribly it has performed. I'm not interested in buying Lifestream as an investment unless you can find it super duper cheap and all you're looking to do is just turn it over quickly at that $50 to $60 mark. I definitely don't group this with Firestorm and Sunstrike. Now, something to look out for when it comes to Divine Champions is the fact that it was distributed differently than the rest of the blocks in first edition. There was a lot more sent through distribution and less sent through the Elestrals wholesale, especially for Sunstrike. They made a huge change where the vast majority of product is being sent outside of the Shop Elestrals environment and is trying to be funneled more through LGSs. How that actually affects the sets long term, that remains to be seen. I don't have a good answer to that, but you can see that the sell-through of these sets is pretty good. In a year, Firestorm has sold 153 copies. Now, there's this big spike here of 40 boxes. I think that was just a buyout because somebody had priced them so insanely low. This box would never deserve to be sold for less than $50. At some point, I'll probably go through a breakdown of each individual set and talk about why Firestorm, in my opinion, is my favorite mainline set other than Kickstarter. We can break down cards and understand why some sets are more popular than others. But the Divine Champion block has had such good sets and good cards to pull. These boxes never should have gone as low as something like a Frostfall or the base set when it first came out. So as you can see, the sell-through of this box is pretty good. It has mostly hung out around that $60 to $70 range historically, both on eBay and on TCG Player. I found a few instances where I've been able to pick it up at $50 each, but you can also look down here in the listings, and this box is starting to dry up. The Elestrals wholesale is almost out of these boxes. A lot of distributors are sold out of these boxes. There are still some stores that you can go and look. Just Google them, find the LGSs around that have them posted on their websites. You might still be able to find a few between 60 and 70, but I honestly think Firestorm is on its way to hitting 90, $100 in the near future. Obviously, Sunstrike is a lot more recent. It just came out. It hasn't even been out for 3 months yet. But as you can see from its sell through, it's doing just as well, maybe even a little bit better than Firestorm was. I think both of these sets are really the only two sets in, well, both of the two sets have significantly fewer defects than the other sets do. Obviously, Livestream has significant issues. Sunstrike had the issue with the double printed X out of 99s. Firestorm remains one of the few sets that has very few, barely even noticeable printing issues. I think that's one of the reasons that these sets are doing better. I do think Firestorm has its own issues. Like I said, that's a different video, but Sunstrike's been doing amazing so far. Now, we just hit the end of the map restrictions, which is why there's so many of these stores just trying to dump it. One of the things about distribution is that a lot of stores want to get their spend up with distribution, so they'll give them more Pokemon and Magic cards, which sell better. So a lot of times they'll take TCGs they don't know anything about and just look to get rid of them as fast as possible so that they can get their spend up and get more of what they consider to be the good card games. So because of that, shortly after the map period ends, I would say anywhere from like 2 to 3 months, maybe even longer, up to 6, depending on the print runs. You can find amazing deals on these. There have been examples where, like I showed, Firestorm was selling at 50. Sunstrike has had some listers at 50. Look around, and you could probably find good deals on Sunstrike now. And just like Firestorm, I think this box is on a course to be a $90 or $100 box by the first anniversary of the set coming out. Now, does that mean it's going to keep pushing past that? Could we see a $150 or $200 box in Elestrals other than Kickstarter? It's definitely possible. I don't know. I'm personally keeping an eye on this over the next 3 to 6 months. I've already invested a pretty good chunk. I have somewhere around 5 or 6 cases worth of Firestorm boxes that I got around $50, and I'm holding them. I'm not selling them right now. I'm going to see what they do after they hit $100. And maybe they keep going. Maybe they go to 120, 150 by the end of next year. I'm hopeful for that. That's why I'm continuing to invest in them. I'm going to be looking to pick up Sunstrike boxes over the next 3 or 4 months as stores keep trying to fire sell them and make money for other parts of their business. But my opinion on the Divine Champions block, and it will probably remain the same with Snowshade 2, is after the map period, pick up as much as you can at a good price and be willing to hold them for about a year or two and see where it goes. Now, the last set that we're going to cover here is really a whole bunch of sets. It's the idea of Shattered Stars bundles. Now, obviously, with Ethereal, they're eliminating the idea of bundles. And I think that's a really good idea. That's a great change. I think one of the biggest things holding back Shattered Stars in general, outside of the repetition of the card opening experience, is just the fact that Shop Elestrals was the only place you could get Shattered Stars. I think moving that to a more marketable product, like an Ascended Caster Kit that can go out to stores, will help sell the brand and make it easier for these to get sold out over time. The biggest reason why Shattered Stars has never really seen a real investor market is because after a certain point of being in stock, Elestrals would dramatically cut the prices. The Shattered Stars BOGO is the most common sale that comes out of Elestrals. I could, like clockwork, expect a sale in Q2 and a sale in Q4 where I would go in and jump in and buy as many Shattered Stars bundles as I could because I knew they were going to cut them in half and also add promos and add-ons and premiere packs and other things. And you could always count on Shattered Stars being half the price plus bonuses every 6 months. Because of that, a lot of people chose to just open them. If you look at TCG Player, you can see there are no bundles posted. There are no bundles from Shattered Stars 1 posted on eBay, and I could not find any bundles online. There are probably a few people here and there on the marketplace who'd be willing to let these go, but you can see these bundles were selling for $30 or more consistently when they did get posted. So, had somebody thought, hey, I'm going to buy these at $10 during the BOGO and I'm going to hold on to them, wait a few months, you literally could have tripled your money before fees and shipping. There are even examples of Shattered Stars 2 bundles, uh, first of all, being posted for around that $25 to $30 mark, but there's actual legitimate sales over $30 for these bundles. Now, how well could you actually sell these? Is it something where you would expect to be able to sell 50 or 100 of these? Is a good question. Why would people pay $50 for a bundle that's not even sold out of the wholesale or of the Shop Elestrial site yet? I don't know. But do you think in some world that you could buy these Stars 2 bundles that are still in stock at half price at 12.50 and sit on them for a while and people would be willing to pay the full $25 or $30 price once they're back in stock? I personally think yes, they definitely would be willing to do that. Now, I have started to do that a little bit. One of the reasons I have not done that in the past is because the EV for opening these packs is just so incredibly high. I have always opened the packs. I kind of use Elestrals as an outlet for me wanting to open packs in between my other TCG investments. They never have a chance to open packs to make money. And Shattered Stars has been so consistent with that. I've mentioned before, I'll have a video about that at some point soon, but I think there's a lot of potential in investing in some of these packs that have not sold out yet. Now, I think there's some clear winners and losers, ones that will perform much better and be more likely for people to buy. For example, Libra and Virgo sell significantly better than Leo and Cancer from the Divine sets. I also think the ones with serialized designs divines will do significantly better than some of these poor selling normal sets like Gemini and Taurus, which are the slowest selling of all of the packs. Um, Now, which of these is the best investment? I'll leave that up to you. There's research you can do and find out to figure out which of the sets are more popular, which ones sell faster. Um, there are some of these that definitely feel like they're more popular and beloved than other sets. But I think in general, if you were to buy a relatively low amount of these, somewhere between like 10 and 50 of these, and you were to try to sell them over the next 2 years at $25 or $30 per bundle, I think you'd end up being successful in doubling the money that you invest on that. Um, so I think Shattered Stars in general has been a great investment, both from an opening and selling singles and a sealed investment selling the bundles after the fact, even though not a lot of people have done it yet. So I think that bodes really well for the Ascended caster kits in Elestrals Ethereal. We'll have to see how that performs. Print runs are going to have a really big say on that. How well people respond to the pull rates and how well the print quality is, I think will have a huge impact on how well these can hold up long term and be an investment. But I'm very positive on the outlook. I'm pumped for this set. I am excited to actually have an opportunity to invest in sealed product and potentially see gains over time. I think this is just the beginning of the sealed investment portion. I think Elestral's changes to their print runs and their pull rates, the significantly improved quality of The chase cards in the sets are really going to push the boundaries of this market and see, hey, can these prices actually start going up over time rather than just stagnating at a certain price? So let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite set? If you could only invest in one of these from a sealed perspective, which one would you pick? Why? Leave a comment, let me know. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so that you can keep up with all the other content that I make. I'm doing daily content for at least my first month on YouTube. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Thanks for watching. We're out.